Morning, colleagues. I'm just testing if my mic is working properly today. Can you hear me? Did somebody hear me? Colleagues, I'm just testing if my microphone is working. So please indicate if it's working.
Morning, everyone. Ms. Martinez, are we correcting?
Morning, Chair. No, not. We still have 4 members on the platform.
We need 2 more.
Yeah, we need 2 more. Thanks, Chair.
Can you then also fly to the agenda, please?
All right, will do, Chair. Thank you. So we're fine now. We've got 6 members. We can carry on.
Recording in progress.
Thank you, Nola. Honorable members of the Portfolio Committee of Public Works and Infrastructure, the Honorable Deputy Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, I saw her in the meeting, DG and your team, the team that supports this Portfolio Committee, and everyone who is in the meeting today. Good morning. On Friday, we won't be having a meeting, but we will be celebrating International Women's Day. As we all know that 8th of March is the International Women's Day. The theme for this year is that invest in women, accelerate progress. This theme emphasizes the critical role of investing in women's education, healthcare, economic empowerment, and leadership development. I'm starting on that note because as a woman and this department having a deputy minister who is a woman and having members of this portfolio committee who are women, it is very crucial that we invest in developing women, in empowering women, because women not only are onozala, but women, one thing that they do is that when they go up, they also take some with them. And we know that you educate a woman, you educate the entire nation. Women are the nurturers, women are the protectors, women are everything. So it is then crucial that we stick to the theme of the International Women's Day for 2024, that we invest in women. We would like to see, even if we are no longer part of this committee, DM and your team, to see many women going up the ladders of leadership in this department. It's something that we'll be proud of as this portfolio committee to see it, that women are going up the ladder of leadership in this, not only men. Yes, we have men that now have been employed, but we would like to see more women being employed in the managerial positions in this department. Today, we are going to get a briefing from the department. This briefing that we requested from the department is the briefing emanating from our oversight visit that we did in KZN when we were dealing with border issues. But one thing that we saw in KZN, and in fact, even before we went there, is that what do we call those, is it Jersey barrier? They were done by the KZN government, but working together with the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. And when we saw that there are also commitments that were not done by the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure National, commitments that it made to the KZN government. Yes, it was a good project, and we saw that they were using local people. And we have seen after that so many incidents that happen, and we all know that area, Umhlabuya Lingana, is one of the areas in which there is a major crime of hijacking cars and then being taken to across the border to Mozambique. We had so many stories when we were there, even from the local people in that area. So what was being done in that project, we saw it as something which is good, that will stop. After some time, we've had people that were advocating for that project to be finished, community leaders that were fighting that, some of them being killed. But now we're not only focusing on that, but we want to get a report whether those commitments that were made to us by the National Department on that particular time, were they utilized, and also we want to check how is the national government interacting with another sphere, which is the provincial government in this instance. And we know there were many departments were involved. There was transport, there was public works in terms of the KZN government, but in the case of the national government, it was only public works that was there. So we invited you today to deal with that because we also want to ensure a sense that when the portfolio committee has done oversight and has a report, as much the department should look in that report, address the recommendations that are raised by the portfolio committee in that report. So on that note, I welcome you all in the meeting, hoping that we will discuss progressively as we usually do in this portfolio committee. On that note, Nola, do we have any apologies?
Yes, Chair, good morning. The only apology that we received was from the Minister of Public Works, who sadly couldn't attend this meeting due to, I think there's a cabinet meeting or something like that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Nola. So we don't have any apology from the other members of the portfolio committee. We now invite DM and your team.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable members of the Portfolio Committee of DPWI. Honorable Chairperson, the Minister is attending a meeting of the Police Portfolio Committee where we received a letter where the Portfolio Committee on Police has requested the Minister to present himself before the Portfolio Committee of Police on matters that they've raised with the department. That is why he has submitted an apology. I'm just saying because Nola is saying that he's attended a cabinet meeting, but it is not so. He's appearing before the police portfolio committee. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. And Honorable Chairperson, indeed, in your opening remarks, what you have raised, we'll try to live by it. as a department that through CBE, we will still encourage that we have more women professionals being registered and produced, and that indeed as a department we'll also strive to have more women climb up the ladder. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Today, the topic that we are discussing is very important, and it is also very important that the department adheres to resolutions of the portfolio committee, especially in meeting timeframes. I also saw when we sent the presentation that this matter is an outstanding matter from 2020, Honorable Chair. And I think that in terms of turnaround times, as a department, we should really improve that when a portfolio committee has requested us to submit reports, we do so in the specified time that we have been requested to do so. I will allow, through you, Chair, the DG to introduce the official or officials that will present today in this matter of Kosi Bay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DM. Nola, have you given the rights to the person who's going to present on behalf of the department?
No one contributed, so I'm still waiting to hear who should I give rights to.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I see that the DG is not here. The official that will present today is Mr. Vasanar Shabangwane. So he's the one you can give rights to, Nola.
Granted, Chairperson.
Honorable Chair, DM, I'm using a small gadget. I'll request that if Mr. Molatela or the IGR are here, they can be given the right to fly the presentation. I'll take the members through the presentation. Thank you.
I've granted rights to Mr. Mtombeni as well.
Mr. Mtombeni, are you flighting the presentation?
Thank you, DM. I'm trying to get the presentation to share.
Okay, thank you.
Hello?
Honorable Jobo, we are all here, but the
Good
department. Mulatelo, are you the one who's going to
Mr.
do?
Mulatelo, do you have a presentation?
I'm also struggling with my laptop here. I was trying to check on the list of attendees if IGR is not here so that they can fly it.
IGR is here, but Mr. Mchombeni says that he was still trying to get the presentation. So can you guys sort this thing out and flight a presentation for?
Can they, okay, they can allow me
okay.
the sharing, and then I'll put it over. Thank you, Deputy Minister. Honorable colleagues, if you can give me a minute to flight the presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the colleagues are struggling, so I'll just flight it from my side. I hope. Oh, someone is flighting. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Greetings, Honorable Chair, the members, the Deputy Minister and the colleagues from both the DPWI and the Provincial KZN. I'm going to take you through the presentation that we are flighting here, which of course does a combination of information from the Provincial and the National Department of Public Works. In terms of the table of contents, Honorable Chair, I'm going to look at the background. I'm also going to look at the collaborative joint efforts that were made by both teams, and also looking at the establishment of the joint task team. And the next will also look at the remedial actions that were put together by the task team to address the aspects of this particular project. We'll also look at the progress made so far regarding the compliance issues or matters, and also look at the progress on site that relates to the phase 1 of this project. And lastly, it will be the recommendations. As part of the background, Honorable Chair, we should note that there were serious heightened criminal activities that were happening in Mkanyakude district municipality that is located in the northern part of KZN. And there were illegal movements of persons between South Africa and Mozambique. And based on these happenings, the KZN Premier directed that a strategy be developed to improve the integrity of the border, including the borderline management committee was established to deal with those particular aspects that are highlighted as challenges. Sometimes in 2017, the then former president also visited the same district municipality in the northern KZN, to be precise, on 2 occasions, and further directed that the relevant national and provincial departments and agencies undertake initiatives aimed at addressing the challenges in that area. The KZN transport engineers at that particular time did conduct a high-level technical analysis of possible infrastructure interventions that will curb the crossings, and a border integrity improvement plan was adopted, and that included reducing the ability of those criminals to move with the stolen goods freely across the border using trenches, railway sleepers, and jersey barriers. And also in July 2018, the very same KZN Department of Transport approached the Department of Public Works National to request a funding as the border control and associated infrastructure was on national competence, not the provincial function. The KZN department made available 50 million towards the infrastructure to fortify the borderline, with the understanding that the National Department of Public Works will reimburse the funds. To these events, the MOA had to be entered into to give effect to the requested transaction. Furthermore, DPWI became signatory of the implementation protocol on the border law enforcement between relevant South African organs of state regarding the international borderline with Mozambique, with specific reference to the province of KwaZulu-Natal, was at the foresaid meeting of the November 2018. The DPWI also concluded a pre-planning and design work for the entire borderline as a proactive stance. Due to the extreme urgency to deal with the crime hotspots on the northern part of this KZN and Mozambique border, the project was separated into two. That is phase one, which is 54 kilometers, that is KZN Mozambique section. And the remainder of the border, supposed to be the phase two, the balance is 540 kilometers of border around Eswatini area. And with regards to the work done by the provincial Department of Transport, which is 25 kilometers that we are going to talk about, the National Department of Public Works identified and confirmed funding during December 2019, subject to few conditions. One of those conditions was the conclusion of the MOU, and also a comprehensive report by KZN departments that would be used to assess the construction that was done. And this was supposed to be validated by the specialists within the Construction Project Management Unit of National Department. The DPWI and KZN department has undertaken to prioritize the finalization of MOU to enable this particular transaction. In terms of the collaborative joint effort, following the visit by the Portfolio Committee, both departments, that is the KZN and DPWI National, established a task team to deal with the challenges that emanated from phase one, that is a jersey barrier project, which was implemented by the Department of Transport, KZN. And the then accounting officer of National Department of Public Works and the province further agreed to establish a joint multidisciplinary team, which was comprising of DPWI National and also our regional office in Durban, and also the Office of the Premier and KZN Department of Transport. The mandate of the task team was to develop the MOA between DPWI and KZN provincial government to address the challenges that will relate to EIA compliance, roles and responsibilities of both parties, including the payments that will be effected for the phase one, which was supposed to be effected after the due diligence process was concluded. The establishment of the multidisciplinary task team. Honorable Chair, I'll go much into details just to make sure that we have the nitty-gritties of what is transpiring within this multidisciplinary task team. So you'll bear with us when we go much deeper. The multidisciplinary task team, which was put in place on the 30th of October 2020 by our former acting Director General, and on the 19th of November 2020, the team, after reflecting on the difficulty of regularization of the process, which was done outside of the department, finalized the draft MOA, which provided conditions for the transfer of the 50 million allocation as previously promised by the department or the then accounting officer. During November 2020, to be specific, on the 24th, the multidisciplinary task team successfully concluded its task, and by submitting both a memorandum and the draft MOA for the accounting officer's consideration or signature, and subsequently transmission of the same to the KZN Department of Transport and the Office of the Premier. The then acting DG or accounting officer favorably reviewed and endorsed the draft MOA, sending it on the 5th of January 2021 to the DG KZN Provincial Government, along with the letter of compartment. Since the submission of the said draft MOA in November 2020, the multidisciplinary task team, regrettable, did not receive any feedback from either the former acting DG or the KZN Department of Transport until the commencement of 2023, which coincided with the assignment of the new Minister to Public Works and Infrastructure portfolio. It seems that this issue remained inactive since 2021, but was brought back to the forefront during a meeting between the Minister and the MEC for Roads and Transport on the 9th of May 2023, and subsequently followed by another meeting which involved both the accounting officer of national and the provincial department. That was during the 12th of May 2023. Taking into account the ongoing risk which were prevalent, the discussions between the political principals and the accounting officers of both the departments were aimed to guide the technical officials in crafting a revised MOA that effectively manages the regularization of the Phase 1 construction project. The multidisciplinary task team was constituted to address, among others, key challenges, including potential penalties for biodiversity interference during the Phase 1 construction, which was mainly due to non-compliance. The projected cost escalation, thus potentially increasing the initial budget from 50 million that we alluded to earlier on to a sum yet to be determined that will include even the contract contingencies, the irregularities of the Phase 1 contract, and the appointment of the replacement contractor for the project completion. I need to also indicate, Honorable Chair, that the main objective of the MOA is to establish the protocol governing the collaborative efforts between the two departments for Phase 1 construction of the modified Jersey barriers at the Kosi Bay border located in KZN, which demarcates the territories of South Africa and Mozambique. The findings of the team. The multidisciplinary task team indeed reviewed the pertinent documents availed to it, and subsequent to that, they drafted the MOA, which actually is attached to this particular presentation, as Annexure A. This instrument is designed to safeguard compliance with relevant legislative and legal requirements that will ensure that the department's efforts to regularize the work carried out by the Department of Transport, KZN, remain legally sound before any payments can actually be made. The MDTT noted the following, among other issues of concern, which we need to bring it to light today. The National Department initiated a feasibility study for a 520-kilometer border wall from Kosi Bay up to Botswana border prior to the former president's directive to the relevant government departments. That was in 2017. And subsequent steps, including the appointment of a town planner to do the environmental impact assessment, which is a EIA, the registration in January 2018 of another project to prioritize the implementation of the procurement of the land, planning, design, and reconstruction of the said 54 kilometers that is between South Africa and Mozambique borderline fences and patrol roads. And this particular project indeed is registered within the system of DPWI. The WCS number is recorded in here. And the appointment of consultants to engage the Department of Environmental Affairs to discuss the requirements of the environmental impact assessment. We need also to elevate that the KZN Department of Transport engineers did take a high-level technical analysis of possible infrastructure interventions to further limit crossings, and this culminated in a border integrity improvement plan, which outlined the need for a modified barrier wall spanning 25 kilometers to reduce the ability of these criminals to move these stolen goods across the border through various means, which I alluded to earlier on, being the trenches, railway sleepers, and jersey barriers. I need also to indicate that phase 1 and an 8-kilometer stretch from the Gate 6 westwards was proposed. Proposed remedial actions by the MDTT. It appears that while the DPWI, which possesses a legislative mandate for border infrastructure construction in terms of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, and the Act 10108 of 1996 empowers the department in this regard. The government, the Government Immovable Management Act, which is a GIAMA, and the Infrastructure Development Act of 2014, the KZN Department of Transport did not obtain requisite approvals of the DPWI and DFFE when they embarked on phase 1 construction to do the work related to the construction of border infrastructure, resulting in biodiversity damage. While the department had initially committed to reimburse the KZN Department of Transport with 50 million, subject to certain conditions being met in terms of the initial draft MOA, which I alluded to, the cost has now escalated to include the actual amount after tender and the contract variation, which now is based on the actuals, no longer actually the estimate. Added to this are financial penalties imposed by DFFE for EIA non-compliance. The focus of the MDTT was primarily on coordinating the phase 1 regularization and reimbursement subject to conditions. Thus, the KZN Provincial Department expectation to proceed with subsequent phases was not entertained by the Department of Public Works. In light of these concerns, the MDT has incorporated specific clauses in the MOA regarding compliance requirements, departmental obligations, and the conditions for the new amount of 92,747,424 rand and 32 cents, or an amount to be determined, and the ERA penalty of 12.5 million payable directly to DFFE. The parties have since, or both parties have since concluded the MOA processes to verify work done by the province in progress in order to process payments for phase 1. And I need also to indicate that the KZN province has resuscitated the project and in cost to conclude the phase 1. The progress regarding the compliance matters. The department did apply for and receive the environmental authorization in terms of the National Environmental Management Act, Act number 107 of 1998. The executive authority was granted, or the authority was granted on the 10th of April 2019, and the holder of the authorization is the National Department of Public Works. The outstanding environmental management programs, which is EMPR, was submitted on the 20th of September 2021. And this submission fulfilled the requirements of the condition 13 and condition 29, 30, and 31 of the above EA. This submission included the freshwater, which is a wetland, rehabilitation plan, and the biodiversity offset plan. And I need to indicate that the amended EMPR, along with the reports, was approved by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment on the 21st October 2021. After the massive social pressure, which was ignited by the killing of the prominent community leader who stood against the crime syndicate stealing vehicles and crossing them over to Mozambique border, KZN Department of Transport has resuscitated the border and appointed contractor to complete the outstanding work for phase 1. This particular project commenced on the 17th of November 2023 and has a contract duration that will take about 12 months to complete. And the environmental assessment practitioner who conducts a monthly report, as stipulated in the conditions of the approved EMPR, has also been appointed to ensure compliance with the EA. So this is just a map that shows the phases that actually being undertaken. Phase 1, of course, here we have got 8 kilometer long. It starts from gate 6 and moving in the western direction towards the Tembe Elephant Park. May not be able to show this because I'm actually outside the presentation that is flighted on. But phase 2 is 8 kilometers long from the boundary of Isimangaluse West Wetland Park, moving into the western direction towards the gate 6. And phase 3 is 9 kilometers from the western boundary of Tembe Elephant Park towards the Pongola River. So this map, it just shows exactly where these phases are located and the length of those specific projects. The progress on site, this is just the picture of showing the construction of the barrier wall, and the works of the construction site is currently underway. The impact of the project has been received positively by the community, including the Defence Force. And as you can see, where now they have put the walls, it shows that indeed the alignment is in line with what was specified to curb actually the crossings of the stolen goods from our country to the other side. As part of the progress on site, this is a picture or the photo of the vehicle that was actually trying to cross. And this is double cab, which was stuck during the construction on the first contract while layer works was being built up. This indicates the impact of the project even during the construction before it's even completed. The next slide, of course, it just shows the completed barrier wall where the SUV got bent after the criminals attempted to cross this vehicle over to the country above or above the barriers using the iron ladder. So this was the impact indeed that the criminals will never be deterred even if we put some measures. But of course, these are the consequences that we see. Just the progress on site and plans for phase 2. Honorable members, this is the description of the activities that are still to be undertaken. Activity 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We do have the timelines that we have indicated there, including the progress to date as far as those particular activities are concerned. But for me to go into details, I can indicate that the first actually activity there is for KZN Provincial Executive Council, resolved to resume border project with immediate effect to combat the crime. The timelines were 15 March 2023. This was for urgent noting. Second one was a submission to Head of Department for Emergency Procurement. The target was 21st April 2023. The submission indeed was approved by the HOD. The third item there is a phase 1 completion. That's a procurement of the contractor. The target date there was the 22nd of June 2023. The contractor here, in the name of Gamma Wewe Development Consultants Pty Ltd, was appointed with a contract value of 62+ million. Then we have got item number 4, which is a construction works permit. The target date was the 31st of August 2023. Works permit has been received from DOL. Number 5 is a finalization of the MOA between all stakeholders. The target was October 2023. MOA signed by both Department of Transport, KZN, and DPWI and KZN OTP. The item 6 is a phase 1 site establishment date that was targeted to be the 17th of November 2023. Works have commenced and the project duration indeed is 12 months. Item number 7 is phase 2 and 3. Anticipated construction start date with estimated cost of about 270 million, which of course all the necessary parties will still need to finalize the discussion pertaining to this particular scope and the project. The target date there is 30th September 2024, and the project duration is anticipated to be 24 months. Recommendations. We do recommend that the Portfolio Committee knows the reports on Kosi Bay projects implemented by both DPWI and KZN Department of Transport. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hlabangwane. DM and your team, just before I invite honorable members to raise their comments on this, I think what we experienced earlier on, it showed that there was a little bit of unpreparedness for this meeting. I think it's something we won't see again, that we don't know who is going to fly to the presentation and all that. It can be that our team, secretary or whoever is on our team, has to fly to this. She has to take some notes because she has minutes to prepare and a report to prepare about this meeting. So on that one, I was not happy, and I know that many of the members of the portfolio committee were not happy with that delay, but we allowed you to do that. So please, next time, be prepared. DM, because we have to take the hands. DM.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. Indeed, Chairperson, I must apologize. And there was a bit of a glitch. I was only called by the Minister's office just this morning on the changes of Mr. Gubeka, who was originally going to present. That is why we found ourselves in that. And indeed, it's not acceptable. And I would like to apologize, Honorable Chair, before you take questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DM. Now invite honorable members to Mlatelo. The DM has apologized on your behalf, so we can't take an apology from you. If the DM had not apologized, we would do so, but the DM has apologized on your behalf. Honorable members, this is the presentation from the department. May I then invite you to comment questions on this presentation? I don't see any hand. I don't see okay, Honorable Jobo. Honorable Jobo, it's only your hand that I my side. Yeah. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, DM, the department, and the staff. Chair, thanks for the opportunity, and I'd like to welcome the report. It looks like there is a progress. So thanks for that. But Chair, just on my side, just one question. That the project is allocated for 12 months on site. I'm just checking if now it's been 5 months. In fact, now it's been 7 months left. I'm just checking the progress now. If they didn't finish, what is going to happen before, after? In fact, it's 12 months now, 7 months left. So what is going to happen if they didn't finish before according to that 12 months allocated for the project? Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Jobo. My comments on this. Okay, let me appreciate the report has presented, but to me, I won't blame the previous minister, because as much as there has been a change in the executive, but the majority of the employees were part of this department even when we did that visit. So now you are being told that this has only been resuscitated in 2023 when there has been a change. So that is not sitting well with me. Does it mean that if then there is a change, everything that was done is put aside? So I really don't understand, because Mr. Hlabangwane is indicating that the person who has resuscitated this is this new executive when they came in March 2023. Otherwise, previously, nothing was being done. But there were people in the department, and even now, Remember, this oversight took place in October 2020. So people like Mlatela, the one who wanted to raise, has been here with the department before. There was an acting DG, there was another acting DG, there was another acting DG. So is that how the department works? That if something, they just threw it aside, or maybe they will blame the former people that were in the department. So it doesn't sound right with me that only this was resuscitated then. But also, I want to check, there was an amount there, maybe I missed it. There was an amount that was being claimed by the department. Was it the Department of Transport? So I want to check whether was that amount really paid. Yeah, it was 50 million. So I want to check.
Yes, Chair, it's on slide 4.
Yeah, okay. Was it paid, that amount, or as the years that are going, it is escalating? Yeah, it definitely has to escalate. But was it paid? Because one of the commitments that was made by the department at the time was that it was going to pay that money and then establish all these tasks. I just wanted to check that. Honorable Sikhala, and we then give the department.
Chair, thank you very much. I am a little bit under the weather this morning, so I'm a bit slow. Chair, you have covered me in terms of the 50 million that was used, I would imagine, by the KZN Department of Transport. I don't know whether that was as per the MOU, whether the MOU had been signed at the time. But Chair, given that I sadly was not part of the process from 2020, perhaps my questions will be that of a layman in as far as the presentation is concerned. Chair, I take the point that at the time, the President, Jacob Zuma, former president, had instructed the various spheres of government to intervene in the matter that relates to that particular border post. I would imagine, Chair, that the first call of reference, or the first people that would have then had to respond to this issue, was the National Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, as per the Constitution and as per GIAMA, as being the custodian of border infrastructure construction. So it is rather worrisome that we had the then Premier and the MECs in the Department of Transport that then led the charge in as far as allocating or sending relevant transport engineers for the inspection and assessments. I would imagine, Chair, that would have been the first call of the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure to then undertake that particular process as the custodian responsible for the said infrastructure. Chair, you've covered me on the 50 million. I don't know whether the department will then have any idea of what would have happened to the financial statements of the KZN Department of Transport between the financial years 2020, 2021, given that that 50 million would have then been classified as unfunded. I don't know whether I would be correct in my assumption, Chair. The department will clarify me on that one. Chair, I want to also then check with respect to the contract value of 62 million that is indicated on slide 15, and also then the continuation of phase 2 and phase 3 that will cost well over 270 million. I want to check then, Chair, what then is the total cost to the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure in as far as the construction of those various phases is concerned, and what then would be the details of the MOU in as far as the costs are concerned? And does the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure have the necessary budget to actually cover these total costs, provided that the Department of Transport in KZN will not be incurring any of the costs? Because I would imagine, Chair, the emphasis, of course, was made on slide 9 that the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure is responsible for border infrastructure construction. So what is then the cooperative relation between the Department of Public Works nationally and the relevant provincial department in KZN in as far as the costs of construction is concerned? And whether there has been any communication, and we've emphasized the point, Chair, that the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure is a coordinating department, meaning that where issues of crime that are happening in borders, has there been, from a DPWI point of view, engagements with the Department of Home Affairs, the Department of our National Defence Force Department, and SAPS, in as far as coordinating a program of action to be able to then deal with the scourge of crime that is related to the moving of illegal goods in that particular community, as reported on the slides previously, which led obviously to the instruction by the former president. I think, Chair, that will be it from my side. But because we are a committee of DPWI, I think that we probably want clarity on what has been their efforts in as far as seeing to it that the community of Umkhanyakude are able to then find some sort of solace in knowing that government is at the forefront of making sure that it is able to protect them as best as possible in as far as this matter is concerned. Thank you, Chairperson.
Honorable Sihlalo, Mr. Shabangwane, and the team from the department.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I will start with the first question that was raised here that relates to the remaining period of 7 months to complete the outstanding scope. What will happen if the project is not completed? If the project is not completed, of course, we'll have to look at what could be the reason. Are there any contractual reasons that led to the non-completion? If indeed there are contractual reasons, which means legally the contract will have to be extended. But the where normally we do have any acceleration program within the delay, that's one of the options that is being considered to make sure that either there is an acceleration of activities by increased manpower or other device methodologies. Or if indeed the contract there's not adequate reasons to complete on time, you have got various instruments in terms of the contract. Either you impose penalties in terms of the conditions of the contract. If you realize that there is still a reasonable aspects or prospects of completing the project. If they're not, you do terminate. But I don't think it will go to that particular extent as things they are. With regard to the issue of the payment of 50 million, I need to indicate, Honorable Chair, that yes, the 50 million was agreed upon by the National Department of Public Works. However, the payment hasn't been effected. There were supposed to be 2 conditions to be met before that is paid. That was the conclusion of the MOA, which indeed we have reported that we have just concluded. And after the conclusion of the MOA, then the Department of Transport is to furnish all the necessary documentations that will prove that that particular work indeed was carried in line with their own specification, line with their own quantities, where Department of National Public Works will take those documentations and send their engineers or professionals to verify that. Once it's verified, that it means it will be compliant in terms of our own processes of paying for work done, then the payment will be effected. So that particular process is still going to happen because we haven't received those documentation. Is the next step that we're supposed to be receiving to adjudicate at this stage. Then the other comments, indeed, they're being appreciated. We take note, indeed, that Public Works was supposed to have actually initiated this particular project as the custodian of this particular function. However, it was initiated through the provincial government. We take note of that shortcoming indeed. We need to be very proactive in terms of our planning, knowing exactly where we're supposed to be delivering. But I think in terms of our now future proactiveness is a question that was asked later by the honorable member, where he is making reference to the funding. Do we have the funding to do all the other phases that we have indicated? So I would like probably our planning unit, particularly from Ms. Suban, just to give a particular guide or response in terms of what have we done, what are we doing, and if there are any relevant estimates or the costs that are anticipated in terms of those feasibility studies, maybe she will talk to it. I think that's what I can say for now. Ms. Suban, do you believe you can share some light more into this particular question through you, Honorable Chair? Thank you.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Members, Honorable DM, thank you very much. The Department of Public Works, we're undertaking a planning for an integrated borderline solution that basically cuts across 700 kilometers with the RSA Zimbabwe-Mozambique border, the RSA Lesotho border that spans 600 kilometers, as well as the RSA Swatini Mozambique that spans across 500 kilometers. So what we're busy with is, like Mr. Shlabangwani indicated, is the planning phase, which includes the site clearance, which involves the site feasibility, to determine, get a site inventory across these borderlines, determine the actual route in terms of where the infrastructure design is going to be coming through. We're determining the actual servitude requirements. We're looking at the access roads to create efficiency so that the patrol that is going to be done by defense will be done more efficiently. We're looking at mapping the entire borderline. So that is currently also being done. We also are doing all of the environmental considerations. Specialists have been appointed to deal with the studies so that when the integrated solution, which is on a high level conceptualized, and there's discussions with Department of Defense as well as the BMA on how this is going to be implemented, then all of these aspects in terms of the site planning has been done. Part of the site planning is also that we're looking at the flood lines that are impacted on. And Chairperson, you'll appreciate in some of the areas we're not able to have an infrastructure solution like a fence. So one has to basically determine what sort of infrastructure one is going to be put in that particular area. to curb illegal crossing. So this is part of the solution that is being developed with our town planning unit, what we call an integrated borderline solution. In this regard, we also proactively went to the market to get the best solution out there. We developed the terms of reference using the international best practice guidelines. We went to test the market as to what solutions our South African service providers can offer us while we finalizing the planning processes. We actually got quite good solutions that came through. The Department of Defense was part of our team to develop the specifications. That has now gone to Defense to look at in terms of how that solution can be implemented, which will then assist the country, from an economic perspective, especially vastly, and curb the illegal crossing, illegal immigration, etc. So they are looking at that at the moment. We are waiting for the Department of Defense to come through. We also shared some of these RFI with the Border Management Agency, because they've now come into being since 2020. The BMA Act has been extended to, which then requires or enforces an integrated approach to planning. So that's also been shared with them. And that is where we are in terms of the planning process. We've developed detailed integrated solutions, which includes borderline sensing and detection systems to support this entire planning part of it. But like indicated, we are waiting the specifications to be signed by Defense, and then it was agreed that jointly Department of Defense, Public Works will then approach National Treasury to fund the solution going forward. Thank you, and the implementation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sasa and Mr. Mulatelo, over to you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I hope you can hear me. I was having a little bit of connection problem. Chairperson, I'm not going to harp on what my colleagues have already taken the committee through in terms of the presentation, but I'm raising my hand because the Chairperson, you indicated that we cannot be saying that because the previous minister is not was there at the time, and therefore everything had to stall. You are indicating, Chairperson, that there were people there and there are people there, and indeed you are correct. We have been there as the people in administration, and the technocrats have also been there, and we have been engaging with the DOT. Just in brief, just to respond to some of the questions, I think Mr. Tlabangwani has really responded to most of the questions. But the question that comes from Honorable Mjobo, which is asking about the progress of the project, and whether or not we will be able to, or DOT will be able to complete the remaining work within the 7 months period that is remaining. Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, in actual fact, we are in KZN. As I speak, I am here in KZN. Some members of the task team, the multidisciplinary task team, we actually took it upon ourselves to actually come to the site and actually view what is happening there, and observe and have a meeting. And I must really say, Honorable Chairperson, that the meeting we had yesterday was very successful in the sense that it pulled quite a number of the critical role players. We had Department of Transport, we had DOD, We had the members of the BMA, Border Management Authority. We had, I'm not sure if there was a representative from the Office of the Premier, but we had Public Works, we had the service provider. So we were all really reflecting on, number one, the issues that were picked up by the Portfolio Committee. And we went through them and the concerns that have been raised and how we are dealing with those concerns. After that meeting, which lasted about an hour and 30 minutes, we then moved to site. The similar manner that the Portfolio Committee did, by first engaging and then secondly going to the site to actually see what people are saying versus what is on the ground. And indeed, number one, we picked up that, yes, the previous contractor who has defaulted has done some work up until a certain point. They now have a new service provider or a contractor who is now completing the work. And I think the presentation does indicate that that contractor has 12 months to complete that work. And I did specifically ask the question, are you guys going to complete this work within these 7 months? I think 7 months takes us to somewhere around November. And they did confirm that, yes, the work that is remaining here will be done in the next remaining period. So number one, obviously, we are taking their word for it for now. But the reason why we took the technical people, Honorable Chairperson, and I do have the colleague here from our regional office, Mr. Tutuka Mbele, who is the head of projects. He was accompanied by the project manager from the department side. And there was also a project manager from the DOT side. So we really put together the technical people because myself, I'm not a technical person. So some of us would not be able to understand the technical aspects. So they were there, and what I could pick up was that this is a team that really seeks to resolve the issues that have been discovered. Maybe coming to the next issue, Honorable Chairperson, about you did indicate that I was there. Yes, I was there, and I think the presentation does indicate that we actually did put together the MOA. If you look at the sequence of events, you will see, Honorable Chairperson, that in actual fact, after your visit in October, was it October, I think? October last year, I mean in 2020, the then acting DG did put together what we call the multidisciplinary task team, but it was more in the department. So we pulled people from town planning, construction and project management, IGR, and PMO. So we were all together so that we can, from the department's point of view first, because here we are slapped with a 50 million amount that must be paid, which was promised that it will be paid, but based on those two conditions that Mr. Tlabangwane has spoken to. One of those conditions was the development of the MOA. So indeed, in 2020, we developed the MOA, and it was submitted to our accounting officer, who reviewed it and further sent it to the province. And it was sent on the 5th of January 2021, if you look at the presentation. And there was a response from the province who were indicating that, number one, they appreciate the MOA. They will send it to their legal people to have a look at it. But secondly, they were also just harping on the fact that please do realize that you still have to give us the 50 million, but note that it's no longer 50 million, because 50 million was an estimate before we went out on tender. So correctly so, the amount has gone up. But not only that, but there were some variations, obviously, because they had to do some access road. So we are looking at a figure of around 92 million that must be paid by Public Works to DOT. So then obviously we were allowed them to go through the MOA, look at the clauses that we have put as Public Works, because we are doing this in the interest of ensuring that when we pay as Public Works, there is not going to be a comeback around us paying for things that are irregular. So we wanted to make sure that SCM processes have been followed. Everything in keeping with your recommendation, Chairperson and the honorable members. So yes, unfortunately, nothing was forthcoming from the province. And when we say that the only time we met again, it was now during this year, where the meeting again reconvened to actually look at what was happening. But when we looked at that, the reason why we saying we resuscitated the MOA is because we realized that there are more things that were added. For instance, there's a new contractor on site, which then means that the amount could even go further. There were, things like whether we wanted to know whether the environmental impact assessment report has been received and a whole host of all other things. And indeed, we met, but that meeting was very short for the technical team because we had already done a lot of work. It was just to plug 1, 2, 3 in terms of amounts, the new amounts, and the new developments in terms of the replacement contractor. So we then sent out that MOA, that was in October last year, the revised MOA, if you like. And we only received that revised MOA signed by the province on the 13th of February this year. The challenge, Chairperson, is the following. And again, it's in keeping with the recommendation of the Portfolio Committee, because the recommendation of the Portfolio Committee is asking 5 questions from the department, one of which is that for us to get a comprehensive report on the work done, so that we can look at the irregularities and so forth. But for us to do that, number one, we had to put that as a clause in our MOA. And then number 2, for us to actually go and view the site, receive the report, analyze the report, compare the report with what is on the ground, and then we can then make those kind of recommendations. I mean, if you go on the MOA, you'll also see that we are even saying, we are going to the extent of saying that we even need to get a report from their own internal auditors. Apart from the AGSA, their own internal auditors can also do an assurance of the procurement process from the start when ISF Schuler was appointed up until now with the new contractor and the work and the payments that have been done. So yes, we only received this on the 14th, and we were happy that finally both parties have agreed, and then that means that the technical team can now work together based on what is on the MOA. And Chairperson, I must say the meeting yesterday is beginning to actually take us to the direction of finding each other. Just to conclude, if you look at the clauses that are on the revised MOA, they are giving you questions that we as Public Works should ask DOT in order to satisfy ourselves that before we remit the 92 million, those conditions are complied with. Number 1, environmental compliance. And I think there has been a response in that regard, that there is a report. So if that is fine, then we will tick. Number 2 was the land acquisition and permission. Here we were talking about whether we approached the Ingwanyama Trust Board and whether they agreed in terms of the servitude of that land. And the response that we got, obviously it was verbally in a meeting, was that indeed there is an agreement or concurrence by the ITB for us to use that piece of land. So there is a tick, number 2. By the way, this also responds to the questions you have raised in terms of your report. Number 3 was the issue of project delivery and documentation. Here we are checking whether the work that they have done by the previous contractor, what percentage of work has he done and what percentage is remaining. But here we need that comprehensive report, and they have committed to provide us with that report. But they are saying, moreover, there is a PLC, Project Liaison Committee, that has been developed, where they are really asking Public Works to also partake in that, so that, because this is where they brief the stakeholders in terms of whatever challenges of the project, but mostly the progress of the project. The number 4 is procurement process. And I've alluded to this in the sense that we are saying as Public Works, has internal audit been conducted to ensure the fairness and compliance of procurement processes for appointing consultants and contractors? We need that to come from them, number 1. But number 2, we also need to test that everything is above board. The last one, the next one was financial management. And here on financial management is really, there is money that is expected to be paid to DFFE because of the biodiversity damage that happened, or what they call biodiversity offsetting. And there's a response in that regard that they have actually responded to that. So there seems to be no challenge anymore from the consultant that we have appointed who deals with the environmental issues. But we further said yesterday that one of the critical stakeholders is the DFFE rep. So we have committed to invite them in our next meeting so that they can come and say, indeed, the environmental matters have been addressed. If we can get that, Honorable Chairperson, this will then give us a clean bill of health. The number 6 was the construction quality and completion. I think I've spoken to that part, because in your own report, you are talking about panels that are supposed to be put together there. I think it's about 6,000 panels. How many panels have been put up until now? And what do they represent in terms of percentage and work? So, but we can only get that once we get a complete report. There were issues of maintenance. I mean, you have got these panels that are sitting there. Is there going to be a maintenance? Because for every construction, there has to be maintenance plan. And they have actually committed that they will give us the maintenance manuals that can be utilized, because this then becomes the property of Public Works. The last one, Chairperson, was the issue of indemnity and liability, because ultimately, once DOT has completed the work, the 25-kilometer stretch of work, if we allow them to do phase 1, which is the 8-kilometer, and the other phases, if we allow them as Public Works, once they are done with that, I think it's common cause that that property belongs, or it is going to be transferred to Public Works on our asset register. And therefore, we want to make sure that, all T's have been crossed, all I's have been dotted in terms of the legalities there, so that we can indemnify DOT against any claims related to personal injury, any death or damage arising from the use of the wall. So for us to do that, because now it will be our property, we need to make sure that all those things are addressed. So, Chairperson, I thought I should add on that, just number 1, to give the portfolio committee confidence that there is indeed a working together. And colleagues have realized that there have been some irregularities that happened in the past, and they're working tirelessly to ensure that we close all those gaps. So that's all I needed to say. So I think, in effect, Chairperson, I know the purpose of this meeting. When I look at the subject, it was saying we must brief you on the recommendations of your own report. And there were those five key recommendations. And I think I have responded to all those 5 in terms of what we have done to date. But we will keep the portfolio committee in the loop if there is anything. In one of the conditions, we are even saying that we reserve the right as Public Works to engage the portfolio committee, to engage the SIU, to engage any external before we pay, so that we know that we are doing the right thing. It's just in the clause, and luckily the MOA has been signed in that regard. So thank you very much, Chairperson. That's what I wanted to add from my side.
Thank you, Mr. Muhasa. Honorable Mjabo? Or is it a legacy hand?
Not a legacy, Chair.
Thank you. Over to
Okay.
you.
Okay. Thank you, Chairperson, for the opportunity, and thanks for the last one. It's more clear. But Chair, I'm just checking what is the cost of this project, because on slide 15 there is 62.3 million. Then on phase 2 and phase 3 there is 270 million. Now the last speaker who he's added the 92 million rands. So I'm not sure what is the actual cost of this project. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Njobo. Just before you come in, DM, my comment would be, I see that you have appointed a contractor on the 22nd of June 2023, Kamawewe Development Consultants. I just want to check whether when we were there were young people that were at the center of developing those barriers, and then even installing those barriers. So I want to check now. I'm not sure whether it was their contractor or they were just there to work. And we even appreciated the fact that you are utilizing young people, some of them who had recently graduated and all that. So I just want to check now that with the new contractor, are they still applying that, or they just or this contractor that you have appointed as it has been appointed by the national department, that is the DPWI. I want to check whether are you using the same contractor that was there. In terms of the work that was being done, all of us as the members had no issue of the work that was being done, because we could see that its work, it was good, and it would really stop anyone who want to go on the other side. But the challenges were these commitments that had not been finalized and all that. But I just want to check now, is this contractor the same one that you used before? Are you also ensuring that they are taking in young people with this issue of the high unemployment rate in South Africa, especially having so many graduates that are just walking about in our streets, not working at all? I just want to check on that one. Thank you. DM, I see that your hand is up.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. Honorable Chair, I just wanted through you to request that, because in this meeting we have Mr. Malusi Changaze, who's a project manager, and Mrs. Lindom Tembu, because I did not hear anyone responding to the question from the honorable members on the 50 million. I would just like to know from them, from the KZN side, when they were doing their annual financial statements, what did they put in their books around the 50 million, so that we have a response on that question. I'm sorry for that, Honorable Chair, but I just wanted to say that we would like to hear from KZN side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DM. Over to you. Project manager, please. Is she still part of the meeting? He or she part of the meeting?
Thank you, Chairperson.
Okay.
And good morning to the honorable members and senior managers from both the National Public Works and KZN Department of Transport. It's rightfully noted that we have not received any of the funds that we spent on the project. We had received seed funding of 50 million, which is what we used to initiate the project. So as Public Works said, we haven't received that 50 million. And maybe also, Chairperson, if you will allow me to further explain that KZN Department of Transport, as part of the previous contract, had trained 40 local youths through the NYS program. These local youths received accredited training with NQF level 4 and NQF level 5, NQF level 2 and NQF level 4 accreditation. And in the discussion with our project liaison committee, we had agreed that we'll give them a preference when we are making appointments for labor, while also noting that some of these local youths have received offers from different private companies, offers of employment. Chairperson, I hope I was able to cover the question from the honorable member.
Mr. Sibande, you also want to come in?
Thanks, Chair. I'm sorry. I'm covered. Thanks.
Okay. I think Mr. Nchangase is bringing in another dimension, but I think we won't go there. Mr. Nchangase, when we're asking about young people that are loitering in our streets because they are unemployed, and some of them are graduates that have been going around the streets for more than 5 years. If those that were in the project have been taken by other companies, we need to bring other people. I think that one is clear. We're not saying we must ask those that were working there to come back in the project. I think there is a chance to train others and let them participate in the project. One thing that we need to do as South Africa is to try to deal with this issue of high unemployment rate. So if there is a chance of bringing in young people, and especially those that are graduates, I think it would be good even for the country, not only for KZN. That one, we must do it. As I indicated earlier on, this project that we visited, it also was in the media space when some people were killed. It was not one, I think about 3 of them. And those were community leaders that were fighting crime in that area, of their cars being hijacked and crossing the borders, never to be seen again. So we hope that this meeting of today that we have invited to look at the update of what you have done since then, how you are dealing with our recommendation. It will also make, we appreciate that there is progress being made, but it also means that you will hasten in following up all this. Honorable Njobo indicated that you are only left with 7 months to finish. And some of the pictures that you have shown us here are the pictures that we know that were there when we went to see. Out of that 80 kilometers, it was only 3.5 kilometers. We would like to see the 8 kilometers being finished in the 7 months you are saying you will be doing it. Because you are not doing it for the portfolio committee, you are doing it for the people of KZN, you are doing it for South Africa. So we need to stand up and ensure that the projects that are done by this department are finished and are finished in time. We always appreciate when you do that. Any other comments, honorable members, before we release them and then deal with our other business? So on that note, that there are no other comments or questions from the members themselves, let me appreciate again, DM and your team, the detailed way that you presented this report, though in some issues you would refer to Annexure A, which we didn't have it in our presentation, because our presentation didn't have Annexure A. So in future, when you are going to refer to a document that is not part of the presentation that you send to us, you must provide us with that information, because it doesn't assist us even in questioning when we are told that Annexure A says this and we don't have such an annexure. So we appreciate the presentation and the fact that there has been a movement in this project that we visited as this portfolio committee. And we hope that one day Mr. Shamangane and Mr. Mulatelo, you will really pay that 92 million, that from 50 million it has escalated to, because continuing not paying that amount, it will continue escalating as the years go by. So I hope that DM, the task team, we will ensure that we are happy that the MOA has been signed, but we hope also that that amount that is owed to the Department of Transport of KZN will finally be paid, because it has to be, not coming to us with reports that you're still doing this and this and not paying what is due to another department as it was presented to us. Honorable members, I really appreciate the time that taken to interact with this report, because it shows that we care. Some of the issues that have been raised here will also appear in our legacy report. At least we will be able to say that an MOA was finally signed. We can't say it has not been signed, but we have told us it has been finally signed. I think that's a step forward, and we hope that within the 7 months, you will finish phase 1 of the project. On that note, honorable members, let's go to item number 2 of our agenda, and we'll release the department confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. Thank you, DM and your team.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Chair and honorable members.
Thank you, Chairperson and honorable members.
Yesterday, we had a meeting with the department and PMTE on the leasing of government properties. And these are the minutes for that meeting. Are there any corrections, honorable members? If there are no corrections, can I get a mover? These are the minutes. These are the issues that we discussed yesterday.
I move that adoption, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Jobo. May I have a second, honorable members?
I can second them for you, Chair.
Honorable Alexander, thank you so much. Honorable members, on that note, thank you again for such a meeting that we had, interactive and always deliberating progressively. I just want to remind you all, honorable members, because when we talk, as you know, we say in South Africa, March is the Human Rights Month, and 8th of March is the International Women's Day. That women's rights are human rights. If we can preach that, we can go afar. Thank you so much. The meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Long live the chair.